Welcome all to this tutorial. Today we're going to go ahead and do some character filtering. So you might have noticed that I have changed the code to a pretty good extent. First off are the break statements that I have inserted pretty much everywhere at the end of each check, so if the check succeeds, don't go any further. Also, that's done. Excellent. So in the else part, we have this switch statement, and for all these characters you see for a parentheses, because how do you type in a parentheses? Well, you open up your text editor, and I suppose on my keyboard it's Shift 0, and that's a parentheses. And if I want to, well, wait, let's open a parentheses, that's Shift 9, and to close the parentheses that would be Shift 0. What did I do here then? ASCII is for, this is the ASCII code for 048. You can see that here. Where is it? There we go. So 48 is the ASCII code for 0. Simple as that. And I have placed it here. So when I press a 0, depending on whether Shift is pressed or not, I will either record a parentheses or I will record a 0. So with this function, I will check whether the Shift is being pressed or not. So if it's being pressed and 0 is being pressed along with it, then this will happen. If it's not, then I will just write 0 and that's it. No big deal. Now, if this evaluates to true, I don't want you to go checking any other cases out. I don't care. I have inserted a break statement, so exit the loop immediately. Next up, 49, which was for 1. Now notice instead of a 0, I could have also placed well, let me put it to you this way. I could have placed key, and that would mean that I have basically that would have the same functionality, but instead I like to place a 0 primarily because I can orientate myself easier within the confines of my own code. Why? Well, you know, when you're reading through it, if you have just right key, right key, right key, right key, you don't really know. You have this and then right key below. You don't know what is this key below going to be. Like this, you do. So that's how I made them from basically 0 to 9. So you have 0 and then you have 1. So notice that this is the keyboard layout that I am using. But even if you have a wrong keyboard layout, and if it's recording wrong things, for example, but in this sense. So on number 1, how many options do you think you have? Well, let's see. I can press 1, and then I can press Shift and 1, and that gives me an exclamation mark. 1 is going to be the same for every keyboard. Shift will be perhaps different. Shift 1 will perhaps be different for some other keyboards, but there are only a couple of possible combinations. Well, a couple of combinations that are most likely to be used, maybe like 2 or 3, and that's it. So you still have a good amount of the password. I mean, you have the large enough segment of the password that you can pretty much guess it out of 1 or 2 tries, basically. Anyway, let's go ahead and delete this. Let's keep on moving forward. I have inserted that for every one of these. So you see, this is a backslash 2. And I have this pound. That's on $3 on 4. I do believe that 7 is a slash. So let's see, 6 is a caret, 5 is a percent sign. Apparently no, 7 is ampersand sign. Let's check that out. Indeed, it is. Okay, so on my keyboard it is. And then we go down further, asterisk and the parenthesis and the open parentheses on 9, and so on and so forth. So I have inserted a good amount of these. Make sure that you insert them in accordance. You can either copy mine or you can insert them in accordance with your own keyboard layout. But basically what we're doing here is checking whether the shift is pressed. If shift is not pressed, go ahead and just write the number corresponding to the ASCII, or write the character corresponding to the ASCII. But if Shift is pressed in combination with this, then write something else, whatever the result of that might be. For me, it's a right parentheses, so to say, and for you it might be something else, but hey, feel free to follow it through and see what you get. If not, I mean literally just go onto your keyboard, take it in your hands, take a look at it, press Shift, press 1, and see which character you get, and then put it in here. That's all you need to do in order to get the characters from 0 to 9. Very easy, no big deal. They will get recorded, they will get printed out. So now that we have all of them, let's go ahead and verify that this is indeed correct. How do we do that? Well, just go ahead and compile it. Wait for it. Excellent, so it is up and running. Okay, I have a lot of these things that I've tested out here to make sure that the keys do work. We will be adding more of these in the follow-up tutorial, so if you wish to skip that, feel free. If you want to add your custom keys that you wish to add, go ahead and do it that correspond to some keyboards that you might want. But these ones generally will fit a lot of keyboards. I myself am using a UK keyboard, but a lot of these keys are very similar for the US keyboard as well. So just take a look at your keyboard layout and then change it, or change it to your target environment's keyboard sets. If you're uncertain, you can always go with the US keyboard. Most people tend to use that one. Well, I don't know, in the Americas and Europe people tend to use it, but I don't know elsewhere in the world. I'm not sure what is the preferred layout. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start typing. So let's first verify that we have all the numbers in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And let's go ahead and open it. This could be from the previous ones. Or I could have pressed it. I probably did press it. But to be on the safe side, to know for sure that it works, let's go ahead and delete it. Save the file while it's running and repeat the process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Okay, so it is recording numbers without any problems. Now let us go ahead and see if it's recording the symbols. Okay. And there you go. We are also recording the symbols. I can put it here like one underneath the other, so it's easier to match them up. So if somebody's using these things in their passwords or something of a kind, then you are able to easily track them. But usually they won't. 90% of the time, 80 to 90% of the time, people just use upper and lowercase letters for this purpose. And the upper and lowercase letters, of course, still work. A, B, C, and A, B, C. We will add a few other functionalities and a few other filters for the keys. But hey, if you have some filters that you would like to implement or that you have implemented for the keys, feel free to post them in the discussions. I'll be happy to take a look at them, and perhaps we can implement them in the whole project if we so choose. So you can see I have numbers from 0 to 9. I have these characters, and I have upper and lowercase letters. So this is the composition of about 90% of passwords out there in the world. So we of course need some other characters here as well. Once we have them, that's going to pretty much be any possible combination that somebody might type into their keyboard. Our keylogger will be able to record it and put it into a file, and then later on hopefully send it. So once again, if you feel kind of bored listening to me just putting in key filters, because that's completely up to you, what sort of key filters would you like to put in, you can feel free to skip that part and go into the part where we will make our keylogger. Just do a few examples for the functionalities that I had in mind, to take snapshots and to use the cameras, to use the onboard camera, or to no, just send an email or something of a kind. Anyway, that would be it for this tutorial. Please make sure that you have these filters set up and running, that you have uppercase and lowercase letters set up and running, because we are going to need all of this for the follow-up tutorials. Until then, I bid you all farewell.